Reignite your career after 60. Are you wondering how to make change happen, regain control of your life, and reignite your career after 60? For many women entrepreneurs, executives, and professionals, reigniting their career can be especially fulfilling. For many women, a new career is on the horizon. So today I'm speaking with Simon Phillips, who is an author, a speaker, a coach, and a podcaster on what it takes to make change happen in your personal life, in teams, and in organizations. Simon is a career strategist and has helped thousands of people regain control of their lives and reignite their careers. So Simon joins me today on Executive Encore as an international thought leader to share his insights and strategies for making that change happen, especially as we approach the crossroads of 60 and beyond 60. Hello, Simon. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you, Patricia?
Very good, thank you. And we are in different continents, so this is truly international. So this is going to be fun because maybe the ideas on the different sides of the Atlantic Ocean can come together and really help one another. So, Simon, please share what is behind your passion and your interest in helping people reignite their career.
Yeah, thank you, Patricia. I think it's emerged over time. I think it's fair to say. So I've always been interested in change and helping people with change. And earlier on in my career, a lot of that was focused on teams inside organizations, and it was focused on organizations themselves, thinking about culture change, for example. But increasingly, the people I was supporting were in maybe the second stage of their career, and sometimes even the third, and starting to have very drastic changes in the way they thought about their careers, and turning to me as somebody who deals in change for ideas and insights as to how they might cope with what for them were very significant changes in their lives. And so over time, I've got more and more involved in helping people think about how do they navigate those quite choppy waters of change when it comes to careers, because sometimes career change is forced upon us. Maybe we've been made redundant, maybe or maybe we choose it purposefully. We're moving continents, moving house, maybe where we've met someone and our lives go in different directions. And so it always seems to be accompanied by major life change. It's not as if, a lot of people very rarely sit down and they think quite methodically, right, okay, there's nothing else going on in my life right now. I think I'll change career. It always seems to be accompanied by some other significant life changes as well. So yeah, I think all of that sort of background in change helps me to help people cope with what is a fairly emotional roller coaster as people start to think about change, especially in the latter part of their careers.
Yeah, I guess some of the changes that happen personally at that time is if someone has gone through the course of having a career, building a career, having a family, and being in a partnership with someone or not being in a partnership with someone. But at one point, their family dynamics change, whether it's through children going off, or even for many of us, our parents, seeing our parents become older. And so there's a lot of pressure on us to look after the younger generation and the older generation. So that can be a big change, especially for those of us who are, like you said, approaching after the second wave and into the third wave, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
can you say more about what you think are some of the biggest challenges for particularly women in that stage? What have you found?
So the one that people talk about almost first is a sense of ageism, feeling like they are perceived as being too old for certain roles, or maybe not interested in certain roles. Maybe there's a sense that, well, this is a role for someone who's really interested in think of, put in brackets, anything that we know the absolutely the younger generations are interested in. And so
Mhm.
there's a bit of, push back against individuals, but equally a sort of a, I'm sure you're not going to be interested in this, attitude around them. So those are some of the things that people complain about, first of all. The second challenge I see people having is a complete lack of self-confidence.
Oh.
For many of the reasons that you said, maybe they've been out of the workforce a while, maybe they've always done one type of role, and now they're not confident that they can switch at this point in their lives. Um, or maybe it's just a case of the thing they've always wanted to do now almost seems to be a little bit out of their reach. And that's usually matched with a sense of not necessarily feeling like they've got the energy to go chasing things in the same way that maybe they would have earlier in their career. So those are the sorts of things that I see. Another one that I see, though, and it's related more to some of the opportunities that are out there, is people having a reluctance to invest themselves in new skills. And
Mm.
so, feeling like, well, hold on, I'm this experienced person. I've got, so much, a wealth of experience, if you like, on my CV, and why should I have to go out and learn new things? And so those are the types of challenges that, I'm seeing my clients facing at the moment.
Mhm. For that last part, is there anything significant that you've seen that helps them to uh, be more excited about maybe growing more skills, especially since technology more or less forces that on us, right?
Yeah.
On many people, young and old. Anything that you've seen that sort of makes them shift in their thinking there?
I think it, it's totally in that technology zone, Patricia. It's helping people recognize that a lot of the things that look initially quite daunting, um, actually, as soon as if you apply yourself a little bit, you'll find that within no space of time, really, you've mastered them. And my great example is always the remote control. With the remote control for the TV, when they first came out, people were completely confused by them. In fact, I remember the old video recorders and professors declaring they were too complex. Um, and and yet, the other thing that helps people with technology is recognizing you don't need to know 100% of how that technology works. You just need
Mm,
to find some simple pathways through, probably invested in about sort of 10 to 15% of that technology to get you through and get started. And
mhm.
that's usually enough to get people hooked and think, okay, this is worth a
Yeah.
little bit of extra time.
Yeah. Get excited as well, right? It's something new to learn, and once you grasp a little bit of it, you wanna keep on going to see what else you can, learn
Exactly.
from it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, what, do you think is the best time for someone to start exploring a new career, if that's what it's going to be, or even to reignite their career because they might keep the same career, but they want to reignite it a little?
Yeah.
When do you think is that the most appropriate time so that they have a path to for it to be fulfilling after the age of 60?
Yeah. And so I was doing a talk. Bear with me for a moment because it might sound like I'm ignoring your question. I was doing a talk for some youngsters, some people that were literally about to leave school the other day. And I shared with them a statistic that most people in their shoes will have 7 careers ahead of them, not jobs, but careers. And I think there's something in that that's like a seed of opportunity for people who are in the latter stages of their careers where they can say, hold on, maybe I've only had one or two. That doesn't mean to say I can't have another one or two ahead of me. And I think there's something in that that can be quite exciting, depending on your personality, I suppose.
Mhm.
But yeah, there are no closed doors really. And one of the nice things about technology is it doesn't know how old you are. You could be
That's a good point. I've never heard that one before.
you may be struggling with it, but it doesn't mean to say that that's a function of your age. It just might be that that technology takes a little bit more investment of time.
Yeah.
And um, and so I think there's no time like the present. And if you're in a job, that's the best time to look for another job. If you're in a career, that's the best time to think and start imagining a new career. I mean, we both know Cheryl Plouffe, and she talked to me about the fact that she imagined her whole business while she was already, still in a job.
Yeah.
And there's
Mhm.
something about, whenever the muse takes you, start capturing what is it that interests you, what is it that you love, because within there are some seeds of opportunity that you could then go and explore
Mhm.
in your own time.
Mhm. And also look at the skills that you have developed and how you can transport those into a
Absolutely.
new career, and then sort of fill in any gaps that would be exciting to try and develop that a little further. Yeah.
Yeah, because most opportunities are related more to generic skills as opposed to very specific ones. So
Oh,
if you can
okay.
see that there are some generic things that you could upgrade, you can be doing that wherever you are right now.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so that it's not always a case of you have to wait until you can
Mhm.
invest yourself in new skills. There are
Mhm.
some things that will help you in whichever career you go into.
You've just made me think about what I often ask other people about. What was the one skill that you learned in, high school, secondary school, or whatever, that you thought was just a simple skill, but it's become very important throughout your whole life? Do you have a skill like that?
I think I was very lucky that I had so my history teacher in school would very often, so I had the same history teacher between the age of 11 and 18. And even at 11, he would encourage us to read from our books or read our essay or extracts from our essays or talk in front of a group of people. And I think that was one that I never had to think about. We just done it. So I was always very happy to volunteer to be part of a debate, or happy to get involved in something that meant talking in front of other people. And I think
Yeah.
that's the skill that has been an endless source of opportunity for me.
That's great. Yeah, I can see that being very valuable throughout your whole lifetime, being very comfortable to be able to speak about any topic that you learn about, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Simon, in addition to your work in as a career strategist, what other areas of life provide you with fulfillment? Because we'd love to hear what men like to have fulfilling in their life at those crossroads as well.
So that's interesting. I wasn't anticipating talking about something outside of my work, but so I think outside of my work, for me, it always comes back to family and friendships. And so there was I'll give you a good example. During the lockdowns, um, when I was just desperate to, I was looking around at friends and family and seeing so many of them in isolation, and I was desperate to do something that would bring them together, give them an opportunity to just get out of their own heads for 5 minutes. And so I started organizing, and I'm sure plenty of your listeners have done the same or been involved in the same. I started organizing online quizzes, and
Oh,
I did it on Zoom, so that, and we actually brought together families in different parts of the country to be in a team, and they'd go off to their own breakout room to be part of the quiz.
oh, great.
And it was just, that was deeply fulfilling for me, because it was doing something that I could do, and it was bringing a lot of joy to them.
Yeah, that's great. And also making them comfortable on technology as well, that a lot of people were forced into during lockdown. So that's great. That must
Absolutely.
have been great source of satisfaction for you.
Yeah.
So I have this part of my program that's called Executive Encore that's called Every Moment Matters. Simon, please share a moment, and actually you may have just spoken about it, but when you recognized what fulfillment looked like to you. So I would imagine it's
Yeah.
relationships. Is there another experience? And I'd like to ask you to afterwards let us know where our audience can reach you or how they can reach you.
Oh, thank you, Patricia. I think the one I'd thought through was I had to give it quite a bit of thought, actually, because it's not something I sort of stop and contemplate too often. So it's a great question. And to me, it was when I first started my Reignite Your Career program, which, as you say, is for people who might be in a career, but they're just feeling like they want that to get better as opposed to necessarily switching. But the first time I ever ran the program, three of the people on the program said at the end of it, I didn't expect to be here by the end of the program. They didn't expect to be making the choices, following the lines of inquiry, and which was effectively following their heart about where they wanted to go next.
Okay.
And that to me was incredibly fulfilling, because on many levels they'd been quite fearful about the concept of doing something different. And
Mm-hmm.
yet by the end of it, each of these three people were doing something that was absolutely of their calling, if you like, and it was something they'd
Oh.
always wanted to do, and they'd figured out through the conversations and through the interactions with each other as well as me, what was possible, and all of a sudden they felt quite liberated, and that to me was great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
So
how
so
can
yeah, I
people
think that was the one for me.
good so that other people can have that same experience as your clients? Can you share with our audience how they can reach you?
Yeah, of course. Just simon@thechangeman.com. If you reach out to me there, and if you've got an open question or a thought, it's not always about channeling people into programs. For me, it's about sparking ideas and opportunities. That's how I get my excitement. So yeah, simon@thechangeman.com. Always happy
Okay.
to chat.
Simon@thechangeman.com. Great. And on conclusion, I'd like to thank our audience for joining us today. Join me each week as I interview other thought leaders like Simon and other women who are going through the experience of finding fulfillment during and after their age of that crossroads of 60.
Mm.
If you're interested in being interviewed, please contact me on social media and visit my website at patriciamuir.com. There's my name, patriciamuir.com. And to learn more about this amazing topic that is becoming more relevant in our lives, read Executive Encore blog weekly on my site and subscribe to my weekly newsletter so that you get a nice newsletter every Sunday morning. Thank you.